Obedience before understanding. It sounds beautiful on paper until you are actually living it. Obedience when the door you wanted swings shut. Obedience when you're praying for clarity and getting crickets. Obedience when your dreams feel so real, so close, and so possible, but God is whispering, not yet. And if you're anything like me, a dreamer, a builder, a doer, someone wired to create something meaningful, that not yet can feel like heartbreak. It can feel like rejection, and it can feel like failure. For years, I didn't understand that the delay from God wasn't Him holding out on me. It was Him protecting me. It was Him preparing me, and it was Him straightening a path that I didn't even realize was crooked. And the scripture that carried me through all of it, the scripture that frames this entire episode, is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. This episode is for the women who are trying to force something because she's terrified of missing it, for the woman who hates waiting, for the dreamer who's tempted to push the timeline, and for the woman who believes deep down that if she doesn't make it happen, it won't. Trust me, I've been her. Let's get into it. Hey friend, I'm Jessica, and this is With My Whole Heart. I'm a real-life woman juggling a lot of real-life things, raising girls, running a hair salon, chasing big dreams, and doing my best to stay grounded through it all. If you've ever found yourself in the thick of it, somewhere between who you've been and who you're becoming, this space is for you. Here, we talk about the middle, the messy, meaningful, beautiful middle. The big leaps, the small wins, the hard lessons, and the heart-led pivots. From business and beauty to faith, motherhood, and everything in between, nothing's off limits. So grab your coffee or your tea, get cozy, and let's dive in, because this journey, we're walking it together with our whole hearts. If you know me, you know I'm a dreamer. And being a dreamer is both a gift and a temptation. God absolutely plants desires in our hearts, purpose, vision, impact. But dreamers often mistake having a dream for needing to make it happen right now. And in my early seasons, I convinced myself that every desire must be pursued immediately. If the dream was in my heart, it must be the moment to chase it. But here's the honest truth. This is still something I'm actively working on. My default wiring is movement. I'm a doer. I see a possibility and my instinct is to act, to build, to create, to run. It's not even intentional, it's just how God designed me. But now, I'm in a season where I've had to learn to slow down, to resist that automatic go response, and actually pause and reflect before I move. I've had to learn that not every idea requires immediate execution. Not every desire is a directive. Not every dream is meant for right now. A God-given dream pursued outside of God's timing becomes a burden, not a blessing. And obedience, especially for dreamers, often looks like restraint. It looks like breathing before building. It looks like letting God develop the character needed to steward the dream He gave you. This episode is really a testimony of that growth, of learning to trust His pacing over my pressure, His wisdom over my instinct, and His timing over my timeline. Hustle and Heart Salon had been open for a couple years. Another salon in Hermantown was closing, and a couple stylists reached out asking if I'd open a second location so they could stay a commissioned stylist instead of going independent. And for a dreamer, oh my gosh, that was fuel. I felt pride, I felt excitement, I felt surprised and honestly honored. I thought, this is the moment. The dream is expanding. This is the next chapter. I toured spaces, I did the math, I imagined the walls, the chairs, the team. The what could be started to pull at my heart. But underneath it, confusion, unease, and pressure. A not so quiet voice saying, slow down. Then my business partner sat me down and said, I don't want ownership anymore. And while part of me panicked, the other part exhaled because deep down, I already saw the writing on the wall. She wasn't lit up by the ownership side. And if we had forced expansion together, there likely would have been division. Her decision, which felt like a curveball, was actually the first step of God protecting me from a path that wasn't mine. So looking back, if we had opened that second location, 2020 would have crushed us. I would have been financially overextended, emotionally depleted, and spiritually drowning. God said, wait, and that wait ended up saving me. Then came the season that felt like a pressure cooker. Our building went under massive construction. It was loud, it was messy, and it was constant. And business after business packed up and left the building, and we stayed. But it felt like we were the last ones holding on. I was exhausted, I was overwhelmed, and I was desperate, truly desperate for relief. And that's when another building owner sought me out, not the other way around. They sought me out. Their realtor was one of our guests, and they told her, we want Hustle and Heart Salon in our building. And when someone pursues you like that, when they make it sound like a golden opportunity, when you're exhausted and craving a way out, it becomes very easy to spiritualize it. I told myself, this is an opportunity that I can't pass up. God must be opening this door. They want us. That has to mean something. But looking back, that wasn't faith. That was avoidance dressed up as spiritual logic. Because the truth was, I didn't love the location at all. I didn't have peace about the layout. I actually hated it. Their promises were inconsistent, communication was spotty, and my spirit felt that hot, unsettled, this isn't right kind of check. But desperation convinces you to ignore discernment. And when you're hurting or tired, fine starts to look like God's will. We were literally about to sign the papers, and then the owners called and backed out. And listen, ugly came out of me. I was angry. I was hurt. I felt blindsided. It felt like the rug had been ripped out from under me. And to make it worse, my lease in our current space expired the next day. I hadn't renegotiated anything because I was so certain we were leaving. So now I was emotional, angry, scrambling, and panicked. It felt like everything had fallen apart at the worst possible time. But time gave me clarity, and distance gave me truth. Because if we had moved into that building, I would have been miserable. It wasn't the right environment. The build-out would have been a nightmare. The owners were already showing signs that would have made them difficult to work with, and my spirit had been warning me the whole time. And then the world shut down. If we had moved, we would have been buried under a brand new lease in a brand new build-out with 3 months of zero income and no financial buffer. The phone call I thought was ruining everything was actually God saving everything. That no wasn't rejection. It wasn't failure. It wasn't punishment. It was mercy disguised as inconvenience. God saying, daughter, I see what you don't. Just trust me. Then when one of my stylists, Anna, felt called to move back to the cities, the dreamer in me saw another possibility. And honestly, so did she. It wasn't just my idea or my vision. It was mutual. We both started dreaming. Maybe this is the second location. Maybe this is how we expand. Maybe this is something we build together. And at first, it felt really right. She's brilliant. She has a business mind. She was my assistant and someone I trusted deeply. We worked well together, and she already carried the heart of hustle and heart. So naturally, the dreamer in me thought, this must be God's direction. This makes sense. We got a realtor, we toured spaces, we ran numbers, we mapped out ownership possibilities and financial investments. We talked about what it could look like long-term, even the possibility of eventually working her into ownership of the space. On paper, it looked exciting. But the moment the dreaming stopped and the logistics began, uneasiness crept in. The market was oversaturated. Spaces didn't carry peace. Nothing felt rooted. And then came the deeper questions, the ones that hit my spirit before they hit my brain. What if her boyfriend stays in the military? What if they get stationed somewhere else? What if she has to move again? What if I invest financially and I'm left carrying it alone? What if this isn't God? It's just my desire. I tried to push those thoughts away, but they wouldn't leave. And Anna, without us ever even talking about it, was feeling the same conviction. We both prayed separately. We both felt the tension. We both felt that spiritual, not this. And then one day she called me, her voice cracked, mine did too, and we both knew God was asking us to release something we loved. We had to surrender something that felt good, even though it wasn't God. That's obedience before understanding. It felt like loss before it felt like peace. Because the truth is, had we opened that location, I would have been stretched way too thin. I would have been leading from stress and scarcity, not vision. I wasn't yet the leader I needed to be to carry something that big. And it would have been built on pressure, not peace. God wasn't taking something from me. He was protecting both of us. These seasons weren't random. They weren't punishment. They weren't God withholding something good. They were preparation. God delayed expansion because the Jessica I was then was not the leader I am today. Back then, I hated conflict. I wanted everyone happy. I avoided hard conversations. I would have stretched myself too thin trying to do everything. I didn't yet understand my purpose, my voice, or my boundaries. Expansion would have crushed me. Waiting, as painful as it was, grew me. Obedience builds the spiritual muscle that understanding will eventually rest on. Across all three stories, God taught me. The first thing, the tension between desire and discernment dreamers feel deeply, but discernment protects deeply. The second thing, the discomfort of surrender, it feels like loss before it feels like peace. And the third, how God builds character in the waiting. He strengthens identity, he matures leadership, and he shapes capacity. And 4, how waiting makes your yes more sustainable. Before, excitement came in emotional highs. Now, this expansion feels grounded, solid, God-led. 5, that surrender grows your spiritual muscle. You learn to trust God's pacing more than your own planning. And 6, that ignoring red flags is human, but costly. Your spirit always knows before your logic catches up. Dreaming is not the problem. Dreaming is God-given. The temptation for dreamers is to attach identity to outcomes. If this doesn't happen now, maybe I'm not good enough. If I wait, I'll lose my chance. If I don't push it, it won't happen. Dreamers feel excitement like a dopamine hit, and disappointment like a crash. That emotional whiplash is real, but here's the truth. A dream God gave you will never require you to betray your peace to obtain it. Obedience before understanding is choosing His pace over your pressure, His whisper over your urgency, and His protection over your timeline. Obedience begins where understanding ends. Proverbs 3:5-6 isn't just a poetic comfort verse. It is a blueprint for every season you don't understand. Trust in the Lord with all your heart means trusting Him when the math doesn't make sense, trusting Him when the timeline feels off, and trusting Him when the dream looks ready, but you're not. Lean not on your own understanding means letting go of the mental gymnastics, the forcing, the justifying, the scrambling to make a not yet look like a yes. In all your ways, submit to Him means lying your plans, your cravings, your fears, your desires down, and trusting the outcome back into the hands of the one who planted the dream to begin with. And He will make your paths straight. Not you, not your hustle, not your strategy. He will make your path straight. And He will straighten it in ways that protect you long before they promote you. Obedience isn't about understanding what God is doing. Obedience is trusting who God is while you wait for Him to reveal it. Peace is your confirmation, not pressure. Pressure is loud. Peace is quiet. Pressure screams, hurry, decide, act now, or you'll miss it. Peace whispers, you're safe, I'm here, you don't need to rush. Pressure demands urgency. Peace provides clarity. Pressure feels like your chest tightening. Peace feels like your shoulders lowering. Pressure fuels fear of missing out. Peace anchors you in the confidence that you are not behind. You're being guided. God will never guide you through panic. Pressure may get your attention, but peace confirms God's direction. Your body tells the truth before your mind can articulate it. Before your thoughts catch up, your spirit reacts through your body. God wired us that way. Your body was created to house your spirit, so of course it responds to what your spirit knows before your head does. That means tight chest, shoulders creeping up, shallow breathing, scattered thoughts, uneasy stomach, that electrical panic sensation, feeling hot, restless, or unsettled. This isn't you being dramatic. This isn't just stress. This is discernment. This is your spirit saying, something about this doesn't align where God is trying to lead you. Your body is not working against you. Your body is often the first messenger of the Holy Spirit. Red flags are warnings, not invitations to try harder. Dreamers, like me, have a tendency to treat red flags as obstacles to overcome. We call it determination, optimism, resilience. But spiritually, it can be disobedience dressed up as ambition. A red flag is not a challenge to defeat. A red flag is a kindness. It is God saying, I don't want you walking into unnecessary pain. I don't want you building something I didn't ask for. I don't want you sacrificing peace for progress. If you have to talk yourself into peace, it isn't peace. If you feel the need to justify, convince, or negotiate your way into feeling settled, you're ignoring a warning. Honoring a red flag is not quitting. Honoring a red flag is wisdom. Waiting is spiritual strength training. No seed planted by God is meant to bloom overnight. Growth requires development beneath the surface. Waiting is where God grows your resilience, your patience, your clarity, your discernment, your spiritual maturity, and your capacity to carry what He's preparing you for. Waiting isn't wasted time. It is formative time. When God delays something, He's not punishing you. He is strengthening you. He is aligning circumstances you can't see. He is maturing your character to sustain the blessing He's preparing to release. Waiting is not God saying no. Waiting is God saying, I love you too much to rush this. So now we're expanding into the space next door, which is so exciting for Hustle and Heart Salon. No forcing, no panic, no scrambling, just alignment, provision, peace. This time, I'm not rushing. I'm not overextending. I'm not doing it alone. This time, it's God's timing. So if I would have opened that Hermantown location, I would have been blindsided by 2020. If I had signed that lease I didn't even like, I'd be living in daily regret. If I had opened the city's location with Anna, I would have been leading from scarcity, not vision. God wasn't withholding, He was protecting. So if you're in a not yet season, you're not behind, you're not forgotten, and you're not failing. You're being led. And the God who planted the dream in you is the same God who will bring it to pass when your heart, your season, and your character are ready to hold it. Until then, walk in obedience even before you understand. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Your time is valuable, and I'm honored you spent it here. I hope something in this conversation met you right where you are. If it stirred something in your spirit or spoke to your heart, I'd truly love to hear about it. My DMs are always open. I love connecting with you. And as you go, just remember, you're not walking through this life alone. Until next time, stay grounded, keep showing up, and keep leaning into the purpose that's been placed on your heart. I'll be right here, cheering you on with my whole heart.